Hey guys. I'm going to promote you up to panelists. And hopefully, can you hear me? You're both?
Yeah, sure can.
Okay, awesome.
What up?
Not
Hey.
much. How are you?
Dude, remember that one time Eric wore a sport jacket?
Dude, that's my thing now. I wear sport coats to work.
Nice.
Yeah, it is apparently.
And they're all like, why are you dressed up? And I'm like, I'm not. That's
You're
my
just
style.
not dressed up.
Yeah.
I do, I manage a website. I built a website for these podcasts. They're my neighbors, and they run not a podcast, a YouTube channel. And that's like the whole thing is all about Disney. But the guy who does it is, his like thing is he always wears a white shirt and a tie. And so it always just looks like he stands out, because who at Disney is wearing a white shirt and a tie? But it works for them, and like people love them. So you're onto something there.
Yep, got to start branding myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Frosty's beard is all he needs, and the
Yeah.
backwards hat.
Yeah, for now.
So weird.
Well,
I can't.
I gotta kill my IDE because everything's being stupid. It's not auto-completing like I need it to. I'm about to push up some code that everyone can use, so
Sweet, man.
I just need the IDE to use IntelliSense.
Okay, why I can't get my monitor to work?
Hold on.
My second
Someone's
monitor.
calling me. Give me a second.
All right.
It was a suspected spam call.
Those spammers.
How dare they, Brooke?
I know. What's up with that?
That's like my son's catchphrase right now. How
How
dare
dare
you?
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny. How old
That
is he?
and never.
Oh.
I don't know why he says that, but he says it a lot. It's so cute.
For now.
Yeah.
Until he's like disobeying something. Go clean your room. Never. Why is my monitor not working? I've never had it not work. Bummer.
Maybe there's a bug in it.
It's gotta be something. Something.
So, for Aaron, did you want to do everybody can speak if they, or like everybody can show their cameras and everybody can speak? Like we had that discussion before.
It kind of depends on how many people show up. Like if there's over a certain amount, it kind of gets crazy.
Yeah. It does get nuts.
Nutters.
I went to a meeting that had like 100 people and they had to show their camera or they get kicked out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was for the Black Lives Matter chapter meeting.
Oh, okay.
There are so many people. There are pages of like grids of people.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think about that. That'd be funny. Oh my gosh. I don't know what's wrong.
Dude, I feel way too dressed up.
Okay. Totally. Aaron and I are just like in our chill clothes.
Yeah. I'm just chilling out, dude.
Hello, Carlo. Carlo helped out with NG Comp last time.
Yeah, he is.
He's one of our
very
cool moderators. Yeah. What's the bomb?
Awesome.
Bomb.
Now he's helping with prizes, so that's super cool.
Oh, Carlo is the man.
Yeah, he is.
And Nathan. Hello, Nathan. I don't know that I know Nathan. And Steven. Isn't this Steven who won our workshop prize last time?
Yeah, I believe so.
Steven just coming to shark this again?
Why not? There's a free Scully t-shirt in it today.
Yeah.
Or a 1-800-CONTACTS gift card.
Oh,
Yeah.
hey, that's not a bad one.
That's probably going to the
Jesus.
top prize. In fact, top winner will probably win 2 prizes, maybe. I don't know how you want to handle that, Frosty. I'll leave that up to you.
Inkster is always happy to throw something in if we would like something else.
Okay.
Just say the word.
I always love Thinkster prizes. I just feel like we should save them for when other people don't volunteer.
Okay, but it's totally up to you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right, I have a repo we can use.
I'm very frustrated.
With your monitor?
Yeah, like it won't. It's perfectly fine. It's plugged in. Oh, wow. I just squished. There we go.
Steven's here to just steal all the prizes.
Turn
Don't
on.
expect you-
I would be. Don't expect too much. I'm planning on learning a lot. Watched a bit of the launch video of Scully yesterday. Oh, nice. To see how this goes.
I was
do some
at the
teaching.
launch, but I was there at the original launch of the beta version. That one was cool too.
Long time ago? Yeah,
Yeah.
today we 1.0. Okay, so today's the 1.0 of Scully. Yeah,
Oh, sweet.
yeah.
What does it mean if there's no input? It's plugged in.
Maybe it's set to the wrong HDMI versus DVI versus.
I've always just
I
plugged
see
it in
your
and
camera,
left it on.
dude.
Well, no, on
For second monitor.
that monitor.
It means it doesn't think it's plugged into anything.
Oh, it is.
It means cordially, Brooke, I refuse to work for you.
Well, at
Come
least the
on.
microphone and the headphones are working, because that's always like a whole story in and of itself.
We should add Carlo to the panel because Carlo's a sponsor and he's. We should just add everyone so far to the panel.
Okay.
Carlo,
I
Nathan,
can.
and Steven, are you not? If you're not interested in being on the panel, which means you could interact with us, just say aye and we won't add you. But otherwise, I'd like to add as many people as show up today.
In other words, make sure you have a shirt on.
Yeah.
I just go by the NG-Conf code of conduct at all
Yeah.
times.
So you gotta
That's good.
follow.
You follow it in all you do.
Yes.
Here at the grocery store, I'm following the NG-Conf code of conduct, people.
That's right. Nobody questions it.
We have Josh here.
I don't know Josh either. Hi, Josh.
It's okay. I don't really know anybody yet either, but
Go ahead and invite Steven. Steven says he's in.
Okay, he says he'll lock the door to keep the kids out. Okay,
All right.
Steven, I'm promoting you.
I did the same.
Carlo, Nathan,
Trenton,
Josh,
we're-
Trenton. Do you want to come on
We're
the
gonna invite
cam?
you on, Trenton.
Steven.
Steven's there.
Yeah.
There's kids out there, Steven.
Okay, fair warning, everybody else. I'm bringing Carlo
Oh my
on.
God, I think my kids just died. I'll be right back.
Okay,
Um,
Josh and Nathan, I'm
Same
bringing you
kids.
on.
There's Carlo.
Oh, we have tons of people coming in now.
There we go.
Nathan, you're coming on.
Hey guys,
Hey.
What up, Carlo? Hey, we hear you, Carlo, by the way.
that's awesome.
Yay. Oh, good.
Yeah,
I didn't have these audio controls before, so this is awesome.
Oh, this is
yeah.
good.
We made you a panelist.
Okay, everybody else, I'm just going down the line. So Chris,
Laura
Isaac,
here?
make
Laura is
sure
here?
you guys are, oh, Laura. Yeah, Laura. Okay, Laura, I'm bringing you on.
Maybe bring Laura in.
Isaac, you're next.
I've been wanting to get to know Laura more, and she was going to do a workshop at NGConf, and then NGConf got remote, so I didn't get to meet her, and so
But she's doing one for us
Yeah.
now.
here
So
she is.
yeah. Actually, it's a talk, isn't it, Laura? You're doing a talk. Oh, you went mute. I don't know why it does that. It's stupid.
It's because
There
I
we
have
go.
these cheap headsets with this
Oh,
little
yeah.
button that's right at my waist level. So
Gotcha.
You bump it with
Gotcha.
your waist. I do the
I
same
lean
thing
into it all the time. I'm like, what's that sound?
Okay,
Tally.
everybody else. Chris, Patrick, I'm bringing you guys on now.
We got
So
Tally.
much more fun with everybody here.
Yeah, I just
It
get more
is.
people, yo. It's almost like we're not in a pandemic.
Tally. Tally's coming on.
Tally's a 1-800
Trenton.
contacts guy, right?
Steve is next. We had some
Oh.
people drop out. I think they got scared.
Patrick Lamoureux, how you doing, man?
There's no
Jacob and
obligation
Val.
if you're scared to show your camera. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
good. I got a little 2-year-old intruder that keeps coming in.
Yeah.
Okay, Val, and I'm so sorry if I mispronounce this, but Anoop, I'm going to turn your camera on too.
Yep.
Hello, people.
And then Craig Larson.
Isaac, you're like full on dad duty. You're like no breaks. We don't hear you, but we see you. And we feel you. We feel you, bro.
We see you.
Yeah.
Oh, we have two Thomases. Okay, Thomas Nielsen and Thomas Cook. I'm going to turn your cameras on, so
We're gonna add you to the panel so you can interact with us.
be warned.
Naveen. Hey Tally, are you programming now?
Yes, sir.
All right, man.
Yes, it's a good time.
That's good. Got
Naveen,
your
I'm going to
long
bring
hair.
you on. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, you got your long
I got
COVID
the,
hairdo, bro.
dude. I got the old quarantine flow going on right now.
Yeah,
so.
I had like a solid flow. I actually caved and went and got a haircut the other day.
Oh, there you go.
Oh.
That's nice.
Look at that part, dude. Look at that part.
Fresh.
Clean, dude. It's clean.
Nice.
So,
But you cover it up with your hat.
well, you have to comb your hair.
That
in order to
darn
not wear a
thing.
hat. And if you don't do that, then you gotta wear. Val, how's it going?
Not bad. How about you?
Good. Where are you located? Are you in Europe? No way.
No, I'm in Waterloo,
Okay.
Canada.
There you go. You're in water. Okay.
I'm not breaking any rule. I'm not local, right?
No, you're good. What we
Okay.
want we want anyone.
All right.
The
thank
Utah Meetup is global tonight. That's for sure.
Utah means world. Didn't you know that?
We got Carlo. We got some Dutch people here. So, right? He's in Utah though. That doesn't count. I'm trying to pad the numbers. Laura, where are you from?
I'm in Iowa, Des Moines, Iowa.
Okay.
Nice.
Who else is not in Utah? Just unmute and say where you're from. I think most of us are. So, Steven, where are you from?
I'm in Georgia. I'm bound from Utah and Georgia. So.
Okay, cool. Someone else raise their hand.
Yeah, I'm from Massachusetts.
Okay, we got some Massachusetts.
Hello, I'm Anup. I'm from Pittsburgh.
Oh, nice. Pittsburgh. Cool.
Okay, Christina, I'm going to bring you on as well so you can join the group. Just your camera might come on here.
Steelers are 2-0. That's pretty good, right? Oh, I care.
It's
I care.
it's good. It's good.
All right. So it's 5 minutes past. Is that good enough? Can we kind of kick the tires on this thing?
Kick the tires.
All right.
go.
Go ahead, Eric.
All right.
Let's just say, Brooke, for people who keep trickling in, why don't you continue to just kind of behind the scenes bring them in on board? Is that cool?
Okay, totally.
All right.
Are you guys seeing my screen? With
Are.
sweet. Welcome everybody. Just officially, thank you. We love having you here. Be you in Utah or anywhere else in the world, we're happy to have you. Also, this is a different event than we normally do. It's a special workshop event. So I hope you really enjoy it. It will be run by our very own Frosty. And He is super cool and a good friend of mine. And also he helps create this meetup. So, but I'll give you more of an introduction on him in a second. First, I want to tell you that we've got sponsors. Yeah, we've got sponsors now. So this is like a thing we've been doing since last time. And they sponsor prizes as well as just helping us run this thing. So special prize sponsors this time are going to be Hero Devs with some cool t-shirt prizes. Looks like Frosty's demoing his t-shirt over there.
No, I'm just flexing my muscles because I'm Hero Devs.
Oh, yeah.
We got the t-shirts right here. So
0 to Hero Devs. I might be breaking a rule there, but
It's not a bad tagline.
yeah. And then
all in on the tagline.
We got 1-800-CONTACTS sponsoring a gift card, which is going to be really cool. And I believe Frosty is going to be holding a competition of sorts based upon interaction or participation in the creation of blogs later. So
yeah,
I really look forward to that. Also, just a note about one of our sponsors, 1-800-CONTACTS. They wanted you guys to know this. 1-800-CONTACTS believes in creating a better world where vision care is simple and affordable for all. And I love that. The next thing that I want to talk to you guys about is prize winners. I think we'll have 5 or 6 prize winners. More information on that. But in order to receive your prize, this is very important. You have to give us your email address. You don't have to throw it in the public chat here, but you can either email it to me at slack.eric@gmail.com, and my first name is spelled with a K, and I'll throw that in the chat. Or you can private message it to me via the Meet chat if you can figure that out. Sometimes I get confused with that. So. And then the gift card winner is also going to need to provide a name and address so that we can ship that to you. Okay.
And the t-shirt winners will need to do the same.
They will, yeah. Amy was going to take care of that.
Okay, cool.
So that's super cool. She's awesome. So Enterprise NG is coming up. It's right around the corner. This is a really cool event. I think it's new, right?
It is, yes. This
Brand
is the
new,
first
yeah.
time we've done it.
So I'm really excited. That's going to be on November 19th and 20th. So in just 2 months, actually.
So Enterprise NG is cool because normally with Angular conferences, everyone submits their talks that they want to hear, and the organizers will pick. But with Enterprise NG, the talks were custom designed for enterprise, and so it was very, very tailored to the enterprise clients, to the enterprise type of talks that you'll be seeing there. So it is a different approach at an Angular conference than I think has ever been taken, which is really, really cool. So if you work for an enterprise team or you work for a big team, bigger company, and you're trying to say, hey, what are some patterns, practices? What are some of the things other enterprises are doing? This is going to be a really good online event for that kind of engagement. And so there's a lot going on there. There's 6 free workshops. There's a half-day Scully workshop there that's going to be there for free. There's a bunch of other free workshops that'll be there.
7 free ones.
Oh, it says 6 here on the website. We gotta update that website.
7, right? It should be updated. It should be 7.
Gotta get that up to 7. Anyway, lots of free workshops regardless, right? And there's lots of paid workshops and then a bunch of talks and stuff. So check it out. Get your team there. There's packs of tickets if you want to bring your whole team. Makes it like significantly cheaper to just get everyone on the conference. So it's kind of a cool thing.
And the keynote's like Jules and Misko, right? From the Angular team?
Yeah. Yep.
That's going to be exciting. And all those cool workshops.
Yeah.
So the next thing I wanted to bring to your attention is that the 2020 Utah JS conference is also taking place soon. That's going to be next month. And it's like every Friday in October. So I guess there are 4 talks in that. And you can buy a ticket to each talk if you want to. We have a special relationship with Utah JS, and I think they're really awesome. So I definitely wanted to just touch on that. Let's see. Oh, next month for the October meetup, we're having a special VIP guest speaker. And that will be Deborah Carrata, and she'll be speaking on RxJS. So definitely come next month too. It's going to be super cool. And Deborah is an amazing speaker, and a trainer. She teaches courses and all kinds of things. So definitely come to next month's as well.
Do we know what she's talking about?
RxJS.
Specifically in RxJS?
I don't know. She hasn't told me yet.
Okay, cool.
I'll need to follow up on that actually.
Cool.
Also, thanks to everyone who filled out the RSVP question. The question was, what Angular subjects do you want to learn more about in the coming months? We had a great feedback. Just so many people gave what they're interested in learning more about. I'll be assembling a list of all that stuff and putting it in front of all the co-organizers, as well as, Frosty here and the people who run ngconf. So that feedback is always useful. Yeah, and now let me introduce my good friend Aaron Frost, aka Frosty. He's passionate about coding as he is about tacos. When it comes to where some people see a new sunrise, he sees another opportunity to write code and eat good food. As one of the founders of Hero Devs, Frosty runs a team of elite web developers who solve complex problems every day. In his off hours, he enjoys being a dad to his 5 best friends. And when he's really lucky, he heads to the mountains to enjoy some time fishing. He's a co-creator of Scully, which is sponsored by both Hero Devs and Google, and he is awesome. Take it from there, man.
Appreciate it, bro. I'm excited to present tonight. I suppose I could do some slides, or I could just go straight into a code demo. Does anyone there's in the chat side of Zoom, there's a raise your hand button. Does anyone want me to do a quick run over of what the Jamstack is? Because we're going to be talking about Jamstack and pre-rendering Angular apps tonight. And for anyone who's never done it, I mean, like, that's crazy. Why would I want to pre-render a client-side rendered app like that? Why are you trying to do that to me? It actually does make sense. Which is why I'm like, hey, anyone want me to go start from the beginning? I'll start from the beginning. Otherwise, I'm just going to dive straight into a project where I'm just going to start kind of walking us through it. So if anyone does like an SOS maneuver real quick, I will stop and kind of go into it. So Steven raised his hand. Steven said, hey, how is it different from Angular Universal? So I'm going to take a second to discuss how Angular Universal is different from Scully, okay? And it's a good question. It's probably the most common question that we get on the Scully core team. So again, before I get too much further, I apologize. My voice is kind of wonky. It's been wonky for like a month. I don't know what's going on. I have no idea why it won't come back. Anyway, so everyone here should know of Angular Universal. It basically, when someone comes to your website, this server, you have a server that will make some call into a node process. So your server could be .NET, it could be Java, it could be Node. You have a server that someone comes to get your homepage or any of your pages. And if you have Angular Universal in the mix, Angular Universal will quickly, using Node, pre-render your Angular app, okay? And what that means is it'll turn all of your Angular code into a bunch of HTML, which it will then deliver to the client, right? What that means is the client gets a fully rendered app. Instead of a blank Angular app, most of the time in Angular, you just get an empty indexed HTML. But with Angular Universal, it's like, hello, and you get like the whole bloody, whatever route you're at, Angular Universal is like, I'm really smart. I was built by smart people, Patrick and Jeff and a bunch of other really smart people, and it pre-renders the whole bloody thing. And so the user gets delivered before they start downloading the JavaScript. They get a fully rendered view. That's really cool, because in that fully rendered view, it can have a lot of really specific stuff to them. Like, imagine two users, maybe Steven and Carlo both come, and they get two different pre-renders of my website because, you know, maybe they're looking at their purchase history and Steven's bought different things than Carlo, right? And so you can pre-render very contextual, like very like specific things per person. That kind of pre-rendering is it's a just-in-time pre-rendering. I'm rendering it just as you want it, and I can render it contextually for you. That is what's called server-side rendering, okay? So if you've ever heard the term server-side rendering, that's what that's referring to. It's that just-in-time, I'll render it when they want it, and I'll render it for that specific user, okay? That's not what Scully does. Scully is not good at the thing I just described, okay? Scully's actually rubbish at that, all right? What Scully is good at is the team from 1-800-Contacts is here, and their product is very like right it down the main sights of the barrel of what Scully is trying to do. So if you have a website that really wants SEO, like you have tons of content and you need that thing SEO'd like proper, Angular's not great at that. Does Google's JavaScript crawler, is it capable of rendering your JavaScript and like then parsing through it? Yeah. It totally is. But even that gets a little wonky. So what Scully does is instead of making Google's JavaScript crawler pre-render it and pop open an instance of the browser, render it, and then do its SEO on it, Scully will pre-render your website during the build, and then when the user comes to your site, they're going to get a pre-rendered view, so a lot like Universal. But where Universal rendered it just in time, Scully rendered it during the build, okay? And so there's some differences in those two approaches. Angular Universal can give you some very personalized content in that pre-render. Whereas Scully, because it was rendered during the build, it had no idea which user this was for, so it has to be for all users, right? And so there's no personalized user data in that. So the pre-render from Scully it needs to be kind of contextless, so it doesn't really know, hey, which user is this for? But what this means is I can put that pre-rendered solution out onto the CDN. What that means is users can download my homepage significantly faster than they could download the Angular Universal version. Because if they're on one side of the United States and my Angular Universal server is over here, they've got to come all the way across the country to my Angular Universal server, wait for that pre-render to happen, and then the server has to gzip it on the fly and send it back to me, and then I can see it. That's great. It's actually better than a lot of experiences. But with Scully, I pre-render and then I put it on the CDN right next to the user. So if I've got users in Georgia or I've got users in Washington, they both have a CDN copy really close to their house. So when they come to my site, they just download the pre-rendered version, and it's crazy fast, okay? So that's kind of the main differences. One is pre-rendered on the fly. The other one is pre-rendered during the build. And there's a lot of goodness on both sides of that story, okay? Depending on what side of that story you're on, that's really cool. Sometimes you really, really need the server-side rendering story, okay? But other times, you really, really need that SEO story, and Scully will get you closer than Angular Universal ever could. And there's no amount of lazily loading, optimization, anything that you could have done as like the most best of us. I don't know who the best of us is, but the best of us could never write an Angular app that is as fast as that app will be if you couple it with Scully. And that's just due to the nature of how fast the Jamstack makes your users feel like your website is. I'm going to tell you an anecdotal story. If you've heard it, raise your hand, and then you'll kind of know where I'm going. if you've ever heard me present about Jamstack before, you'll hear it. You'll be like, I've heard this before. So there was an airport. They wanted to get people off the plane to their bags and out of the airport as fast as possible. So the part of the airport that focuses on the people walking through the airport and getting them to the baggage claim, those people really focused. And the part of the airport that said, hey, let's get the bags off the plane and like through whatever they got to do out to the claim, let's optimize that. So everyone focused on, hey, let's make this process really good for the user. And they really, really got their times down. Everyone got the times like as low as they possibly could. So then they started surveying the people, hey, how happy are you with the airport? Well, they got some really low survey results because people were getting from the gate to the baggage claim so fast. They then had to wait for their bag, right? And even though the bag was getting there faster than it was before, their perception of the wait still really bothered some people. So the airport did a really stupid thing. Like, not stupid, it was fantastic. What they did was they said, hey, why don't you walk a couple extra 100 feet then? Like, so they just made people walk a little bit further before they got to the baggage claim. So the people, they arbitrarily walked extra space. And then the survey results went up, okay? And what that meant was they don't like passively waiting. Like, people do not like just like inactively sitting there waiting. They don't mind actively waiting. Like, actively waiting, they're totally fine with. But passively waiting is something that people they'll judge you for, and you'll get lower ratings, including Google will judge you for that. So what Scully does, it doesn't actually improve the performance of your website. Val, if me and you co-op on a website and we both are rubbish, Scully can't fix that code, okay? But Scully can fix the user's perception of that code like you never imagined it could, right? And so what Scully does is Scully delivers your website in just a few kilobytes of HTML, and the users see it, and they're scrolling, and if you build it right, anything they click on, if it's an href, they can click on it and it will change to that new route. Like, they can interact with your app even before the JavaScript's downloaded and it's turned on, and it's an actual Angular app. It's a client-side rendered app, right? It's a SPA. So even before the SPA turns on, they're scrolling, they're clicking. It works like a website like they expect it to. And they didn't have to wait for all the JavaScript to download before they could interact with it or see it. They saw it immediately and they're able to interact with it. And that's why Scully will put your website on steroids as far as SEO is concerned, as far as the user's perception of how crazy fast your website was. Scully kind of turns that up to 11 with very, very little effort. And I'm going to kind of show you that tonight, that you don't have to bring Scully too far into your app to do that. So I'm going to show you an app. I just generated it today with the Angular CLI. And then I added Scully to it, and I added a blog to it, okay? So rather than keep educating on what Scully is or what Jamstack is, I'm going to just get straight into this because I want everyone to build a blog. And I build a really simple blog, and I want whoever makes their blog look the less like mine, because what I'm giving you sucks. So whoever makes it look the least like what I'm giving you, the least unproduction ready, whoever can do good, the best, you're going to win. And Brooke is the judge, so be mad at her. You can't be mad. That's why she's the judge, because you can't be. If anyone knows Brooke, she's impossible to not like. So that's why she's the judge. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna walk you through this code, and I'm gonna show you the repo so you can start cloning it right now if you want to while I'm talking about it. So let me share my screen. Present this. Actually, make sure. Yeah, we're good. Okay, cool. You never know what's on your desktop, right? So you gotta, before you hit share screen, you gotta check what's up. I just ordered pizza for the kids, so I was like, do I want that up?
What kind?
Okay, we're good. I ordered. I mean, it's kids, so it's Hawaiian, obviously.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so anyone who wants to go to my repo, it's just github.com/AaronFrost/ngblog. Okay. you'll just get the main branch is the only branch that's up there. So you don't have to do much. It should just, when you clone it, you should be in main. So yeah, it's just an Angular CLI app. I mean, it's on Angular 10.1. It was made today, and it's got, it's gonna have Scully already in there. So if anyone wants to clone that while I'm talking, feel free. Otherwise, I'm gonna kind of pull up my IDE and walk you through what's going on, just so you can kind of get comfortable. So just so you can see, this is a simple Angular app. You can now go over here. We can go to localhost 4200. There's not a lot going on here. I deleted all the default Angular CLI stuff. So like, if I go into the app, I go to the app components. It's just got a hello and then the router outlet. Okay. The app only has one route. So it's got the blog route and then whatever the name of the blog is. So there's kind of not an insane amount of stuff. Okay. So so I added Scully. Scully is very easy to add to your app. Like if you have a brand new app and you want to add Scully to it, all you have to do is you say ng add Scully IO init. That's all you have to run. And that's going to go through the process of setting you up on Scully. It's going to get you your Scully config going. For those of you who are like, what's Scully config? I don't want to cause any panic, but it's a little bit like a Webpack config. Sorry. A lot of you are like, nah, like you love the CLI because it's not Webpack. Yes, I apologize. Like there's a bit of configure got to go on. So that's what you're going to get when you do this. So, but it's going to create your Scully config. And then once I was done, I said Scully, or I said ng generate Scully IO log. Sorry, Scully IO init log. That's all I did. Okay. So this thing you have, it's basically just those two commands, and then I added like a link to all your blogs at the top of the blog component. Okay. So if you guys, when you start creating 10, 12, 30 blogs, it's just going to go ahead and list them out at the top. Okay. So let me kind of show you what this app looks like. Okay. There's some really cool tools going on here. I want to show them to you because there's the blogs are actually written in Markdown. So a lot of you are like, Angular can't turn that into HTML, but when you serve with Scully, Scully can. So it's actually pretty cool. So let me come. Let me show you my servers I'm running. So I have ng serve on 4200, but then when I'm building with Scully, on one side I run ng build watch, which is a lot like Scully serve. It's a lot like ng serve, except for it doesn't serve it on a port. And then over on this side, I run npm run Scully with a watch flag as well. Okay, so I do a build watch and a Scully watch. What this does is it says anytime I change Angular, the ng build will run, and once the ng build runs, the Scully will run. So that's kind of what's happening. Scully depends on the output of your build, so that's what makes this possible. The build watch will refire anytime you change your Angular, and then the Scully watch will rebuild all your routes anytime you change. Okay? So those are kind of your two commands you're going to want to know. I'm going to put them in the chat real quick. Where's the chat? Just because I know everyone's going to ask me for them. Chat. Let me type them real quick. npm ng build / watch and npm Scully / watch. Those are the two commands you're going to want to run to kind of develop tonight in Scully. All right. So let me kind of walk you through. Let me serve this app. So we've already got it going. Sorry, let's come over here. So if I go to blog, that was the route in Angular. And if I go look at one of my blogs, I said the title is, or I said the slug is blog night. Slug is like the URL ID. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that into my browser. So I'm gonna say blog / blog night. And when I hit enter, it goes ahead and it renders this for me, okay? So it says, hey, this is your website. The blog routes all have this list up top of all the blogs. And then you'll notice if you inspect this, that hash bang Angular Utah blog night actually got turned into an H1. So Scully is allowing me to to transform Markdown into HTML on the fly. Like it kind of allows you to develop this way. It's actually pretty cool. But I don't want to develop with my 4200. I want to develop with like the Scully serve. Okay, so that's kind of where we're at right now. So I instead of opening 4200, I'm gonna open up 1668. That's the actual Scully server itself. So every time you add a new Markdown file, if I come up to add a new blog, if I want to just say, hey, let's copy all this, make a new file, 2020-09, what's today, 22, third blog, .md, this is my third blog, right? I'll change this to third blog, B3. What's my title? Ice fishing is the best fishing.
Hey, Frosty,
Yo,
you said we could ask questions, so I'm
Do it.
taking you up on that offer.
do it.
I am following along, and I ran npm run Scully -- watch,
Okay.
and it stops and says the process 7284 not found.
Oh. Are you on, what OS are you on?
Windows 10.
Try this for me. There's a command npm run Scully. I think you can just say kill server like that. That doesn't work. Maybe I have to do -- kill server.
Says it sent kill command to server.
Did it say that?
Yeah.
Okay. So then retry the watch command.
Okay.
Did it help?
Yeah, it did. Thank you.
Yeah, sometimes you have to kill the switcher. By the way, Jack Frost is freaking out back here. Sorry, everybody. He's our local guard dog. He's a good kid, though. All right. So anytime I change something in Angular, like here, let's just arbitrarily change something in Angular. I don't even care. Blog component. We'll just, I don't think I need that. So the build just fired, and then the Scully watch just fired, right? So I'm able to develop in Angular, but using the static version of my site instead of just the ng serve version of my site. A lot of people might not care about that, but when you're trying to debug what's going on with Scully, what's going on with your pre-render, if you have any bugs in the pre-render to Angular, like bootstrapping, this is kind of your setup that you're going to want to use. Anyway, so I've given you kind of a complete package. You've got an Angular app that it takes blogs and it pre-renders them. So I just want to see what you guys build with this thing. What do you think?
Very cool. Very cool. So third blog you think is going to show up now?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. So I just made that third blog, right? So if I come over here, I refresh, third blog will now show up in my list of blogs. Come on.
I think the slugs are the same. You should update the slugs as well.
There you go. That's what it is. Oh, yeah. Good call. So let me change this to third blog. Right? Oh, come over here. There we go. Thank you for fixing my problem. Anyway, so yeah, when you change that, you want to make sure you have unique slugs. You want to make sure you've got unique titles. Otherwise, you can have some collisions. And other than that, you should be good to go. Like, it's just Angular. I want, like, this is just Markdown too. Anything you can do with Markdown, you can do here, okay? So there's not a lot of like trickiness going on in this Angular blog that we built. So I suppose it would be cool if you guys could style up your own blog and get kind of going on that. One thing, I'm just gonna make a few more posts around the app, just so you guys can see it. Like, we have an app routing. We have a default route. Oh, we don't have a default route. Where's the default route? Oh, we don't have a default route. We just have the blog route. So we may want to add a default route to the app. It doesn't redirect to the blog route. So we may want to say path, empty string. We may want to say redirect. It redirects to slash blog. I think if we say that, then if anyone comes to our homepage in Angular, it doesn't listen to me. Cool, thanks, Spout. I've got a bunch of errors.
Your path is in quotes. Take the quotes off.
I think that's fine. I think I just need to say path.
Yeah, that's fine. Just
Path match.
Full, or what's the path match?
Full.
There we go. Okay. So now when you come to here, it should redirect to your blog, and then this is gonna freak out because there's no slug back here. So I wouldn't really focus on what happens when you use the blog, but then you can click on your blogs and they start appearing, which is pretty cool.
very cool.
Hey,
Could you press Control U so we could see the view source code or view source? I just want to see the HTML markup through view source, not through the rendered.
Oh,
No,
yeah,
this
let's
is
just
the
do it in
concept.
IDE. Let me just do it in IDE. So the result of the Scully build,
Oh yeah, pretty cool because it's compiled already. So
yeah, because it's already compiled. So I can just come out here to my file system and you can just kind of see this is what got compiled. So if I reformat this, you can see, hey, here's all my Angular JavaScript tags. It's got, ice fishing is the best fishing. If I added more Markdown, that would all be rendered there. If I added images, other stuff, anything you can add in Markdown, that would be added there. But yeah, so that's basically what's going on there. So this is my pre-rendered blog page, okay? And so one thing that people will do is they'll add a piece to Scully that says, hey, if it's already pre-rendered, then just delete my JavaScript for me, okay? So some people add plugins that remove all the Angular JavaScript. On their blog, they don't need that Angular JavaScript, right? Like their blog is just like static links. And that plugin to remove those JavaScript tags, it's essentially free. Like it doesn't cost you anything to get that. You can add it and get that removed for free. So yeah, I don't know if that made any sense, but I'm here to answer questions. Any other questions? Val?
One question that I have, you mentioned that there is no context. So if you want to log into the blog and then only see the blogs that relate to you, this can't do it, right?
Can't pre-render it, but you have to realize whatever shows up here, the user's going to see this, right?
Yep.
And then the JavaScript's going to download, right? And once the JavaScript downloads, it can say, oh, this is Val. Let me go get the stuff that he cares about.
Okay.
So in Scully, there's a couple tools we give you to hide some things. Like, let's say you wanted to hide something during the pre-rendering phase and then show it during the JavaScript rendered phase, okay? Let me show you how you do that. It's actually like crazy simple. So over in my, let's open up my app. And if anyone wants to start going, like anyone's like, dude, I'm going to win that t-shirt. I'm going to win that gift card from 100 content. Anyone who wants to keep going, you go. I'm just going to sit here and answer questions all night. Like I'm going to be here for the next hour and a half answering questions. So if anyone wants to take off and not listen to what Val and I are talking about, go ahead.
Oh,
Okay.
Frosty, just wanted to let you know there's a couple other questions in the chat as well.
Oh, sorry. I'm not even looking. I apologize.
No worries.
Can I finish answering Val's and then move on?
Yeah, no worries, man.
Okay. So Val, I'm going to show you a couple tools. Let's add a div here, right? And we're going to say only show during pre-render, okay? What that means is it won't show once the JavaScript app builds, right?
Yep.
So I want you to imagine they download my site, and before the JavaScript loads, I want them to see this, but once the JavaScript loads, I want that to go away. I could also do the inverse, okay?
Yep.
So let's do the inverse as well.
This is like JavaScript and no JavaScript tags, remember?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe. Okay. So let's do this real quick. So we've got one that will only show up during the pre-render, and then it will switch to after, okay? So let me show you how we're going to do this. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to come to my app component, and I'm going to say, is Scully running? I'm going to add a variable in my class is equal to is Scully running. I'm going to import that from Scully, okay? So Scully gives you this utility method called is Scully running, okay? And that just is true if it's in the Scully pre-renderer.
Yeah.
But once you're out of production, that's going to be false, okay? So now we're going to come back to our thing. We're going to say if is Scully running, and then we'll do the opposite of that for the next one.
Oh, I see.
So we'll just say, if not, it's Scully running, right?
Yep.
So now we've pre-rendered, we've re-rendered everything. And if I come over to our site now, I'm going to turn my network onto like really slow 3G, okay? And it's going to quickly show, after it downloads HTML, come on, dog, don't make me look like a fool.
You could look at your artifact as well, the compiled version, because it's not being
Oh,
loaded.
yeah, sorry. Yeah, my bad. Let me look at the artifact. Okay, so let me turn that network on to slow 3G. So we'll do refresh. So that one, come on, shows during render.
Yeah,
And in a
very
second,
good.
the JavaScript will all download,
Yeah, yeah.
and it will switch and show once Angular bootstraps. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we've given you, and then there's that. So we've given you some tools to carve up your website and say, hey, you're not on yet, but you're on once the Angular bootstraps. And like an example of that is, imagine you have a website that shows anything, books, contact lenses, Amazon, anything on Amazon, right? You have some sort of e-com site. And let's say everything on that list of items is the same no matter who's viewing it, but maybe in the top right, I have a shopping cart with like your picture and how many items are in your shopping cart, right?
Yeah.
I may want to ngIf out that shopping cart piece during the pre-render for multiple reasons. Maybe that thing makes a bunch of HTTP calls that's going to slow down my build. I don't want those HTTP calls to happen during the build anyway. So if I ngF those off, maybe the HTTP doesn't happen anyway. So like,
Yep.
I'm gonna want to hide it for performance, but maybe I just don't want that to show. So I just say ngF, hide that, and then when the Angular app turns on, it goes, hey, I'm not Scully, I'm the Angular app. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn that back on and put the profile and stuff there. So you've got the tools you need to dynamically show certain things, and then also dynamically not show things until they're ready in the SPA. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So before you go to the next question, quality of experience has an element which is performance. And here is not exact performance, but is the perception of performance that you're selling.
The perception. You can have a really good app, you have a really crappy app. The user's perception of your
Perception
app
of a
is
performance.
freaking
Yeah.
amazing, though. Their perception is like, holy crap, this site is fast.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
So, and this is the same. This isn't unique to Angular. Any Jamstack, React, WordPress, Vue, Angular, any Jamstack, what you're really turning the rocket boosters on for is the perception of the performance.
Yeah.
It's actually, if you're being technical, the JavaScript app is actually going to turn on slightly slower because they're downloading more pre-rendered HTML than they used to.
Yeah.
But the perception of what happened is like night and day difference. We have some, I hope the 1-800 context guys aren't going to be mad, but I'm going to show some of their stuff. 1 second.
How would that make us mad?
I don't know.
I was going to say, it's not only the perception to the user though, right? Because it's also the perception to the measuring tools like Google and search engines. Because our scores have come back way better because first contentful paint, boom, it's there, right?
Yeah.
We were actually kind of worried. I don't know if you'll get into any of this, Frosty, but like we do a flip from the pre-rendered to the rendered, and we were worried about there being a content layout shift by doing it, but because the element is removed at the same moment that the other one is added or shown rather, it didn't ding us too hard with the content layout shift, which is one of the new web vitals, which was pretty cool.
So what you can see here is when this image I'm showing, on the right you've got the same website with Scully, and on the left you've got the same website without Scully. In a second, they're both about to flip back to white, meaning it's about to start to load. So here it goes right here. Okay. Look how fast the Scully one appeared, right? Like it was just immediate. The JavaScript had to download for the non-Scully one. And then you can kind of see them where they both snap into the same moment. That's where the SPA kicked in, right? And like it was fully rendered. So if you compare that user experience, like which one would you want your users to go through? Like it's no brainer you want them to go through the one on the right. You know?
No kidding. That is amazing.
Especially clear back when I created this side by side, 1-800 contacts and I had invested so little into the integration of Scully that this dramatic improvement for just like almost no effort, like it was really crazy that we could get this much for all, not free, but considering the amount of time that I worked with them to improve their performance, where we actually paid money versus like that, we made like a small dent. But then with Scully, it took us almost no time, and we made a night and day difference. Like it was insane. So, and this app, one thing you have to realize, this app that we're pre-rendering here, this is a hybrid app. This is an Angular just hybrid. So it's not just pre-rendering Angular, it's pre-rendering Angular plus AngularJS plus a handful of jQuery plugins that would never be able to pre-render in Angular Universal, like ever. Angular Universal will never do AngularJS. It will never do a jQuery plugin. So it's really pretty fantastic what we're able to do on this ecom site with Scully and a properly written AngularJS hybrid app. So yeah.
The visuals are really cool. Is there a way in like network tab to be able to see stuff happening? Like to know when the moment the Angular kicks in?
So the moment Angular kicks in, you're gonna have to do the console log in the bootstrap statement, or Chrome doesn't have any really awareness of Angular, so there's no way to look into Chrome DevTools and go, oh, Angular's on. But you can add a log. You can. There's several ways you can do it, but as soon as that JavaScript bundle is downloaded, your bootstrap call is firing and it's happening. So yeah. Anyway,
And if you're asking about this video specifically, I can tell you Angular is kicking in as soon as you see that orange banner go away.
Yeah.
When that orange banner goes away, we've done the flip. That's the flip.
Yeah.
There.
Okay, yeah.
The flip just happened.
Yeah, good point. So on the Scully version, it says just the pre-rendered view. As soon as you see this orange bar go away, that is when Scully is stopping and you're done. Okay. The cool thing is they could scroll down the page, because there's actually a lot of content below the fold. They could have scrolled all the way down, and when that flip happens, it doesn't like scroll them back to the top, and then like they have to scroll down. Like, there's continuity of experience there. It's pretty cool. So yeah. Thanks for helping me out there, Bryson. Bryson's like my he and I were in the foxhole together, making a lot of stuff happen together. So he's kind of my partner in crime at one of the contacts. Him and Carlo. So what was I gonna do? Oh yeah, I need to pull up the chat, some more questions. How would you fix this?
If you're reading Nathan's question, he fixed it. He figured it out.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was reading his.
He had an empty
Carlos?
line at the beginning of his
Well, it
TS
wasn't
config.
me necessarily, but the repo that I downloaded had an empty line at the beginning of the TS config, and then it wouldn't compile.
Sounds like the repo you downloaded is made by a dumb person. Was it mine?
Yeah, it was your repo. But that's fine.
Yeah. Good call. Okay, my bad. Sorry, dude. I wasn't trying to bugger with you. All right, Carlos says, will the pre-rendered pages go through a minification process? They don't by default. The Angular build, because the index HTML has almost nothing in it, the Angular build has never minified HTML in Angular. It never has. So if you want to minify HTML, there's a plugin. There's a Scully plugin provided by the community to minify your HTML. Once your pages get super complex, you got a lot of stuff going on. There's a plugin that you can use to do that. Sorry, I didn't eat dinner, so I'm eating dinner while we're out here. Hopefully, no one's like bothered.
That's how we roll at the meetup. We're always eating pizza and drinking soda.
Pizza.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Next question.
I did provide the link. I added that npm.js link to that plugin.
Oh yeah.
There as well.
Definitely, there's a link to that. Yeah, thanks, Bryson. Steven says smoke and mirrors reminds me of DHTML. Like, if you think this is smoke and mirrors, then I think you're understanding what I'm saying. Like, anyone who's like realizes this is a bit of a dog and pony show, that means you're understanding me. Like, that means I've communicated effectively, because that's what the Jamstack is. The Jamstack is, hey, speed this up, and if you wrote it in JavaScript, turn it on later. But let your users interact quicker. So that, even though you're trying to be funny, like, that means that, yeah, you're getting it. Like, the funny thing is, we started building Scully. We weren't even calling it Scully yet. Like, that's how early on we were. And we didn't really fully understand most of these things I'm explaining. And then once we started using it, like, our minds started to expand, and we're like, what if we cached our API calls in the pre-render? So that way I didn't have to make the API call in production. So the data from the API call could just be on the CDN with my HTML. And like, our minds started going like, dude, that's insane. And then we're like, what if someone started typing in an input before the JavaScript app bootstrap, and then the JavaScript app bootstrap, and it erases what's in the input? That would suck. How do we fix that? Solved. right? Like, so we started adding plugins for all these things so that you can get some of that really seamless user experience for your users by default. Today with Carlo and I talked about having an A/B test manager built into Scully so that you don't have to have like an A/B test manager app or subscription or integrate with some third party. You can just do it straight from your code base. And it's actually pretty exciting, some of the stuff that you can do with Scully. So yeah. Anyway, am I missing more clients? Steven, once you've answered everyone else, how does Scully treat the CSS, SCSS process? So as of today, Scully doesn't care about CSS. Like, whatever the Angular build does, that's the only CSS you're getting. Okay. So however the Angular CLI turns your SCSS into CSS, that's the CLI. Scully just takes the result of the Angular build. So it doesn't really care about how you're doing your CSS. Now, yesterday, Sanders started working on a new feature that will make this comparison even more dramatic. We're adding a plugin to our rendering system, which is called Puppeteer. And we're only going to deliver, in the pre-rendered version, we're only going to deliver the CSS needed for the above the fold content. Okay? So when the user comes to your website, everything they need for the above the fold, we're going to put that CSS into the page inline. And then the whole CSS, like the big bundle that you get from Angular CLI, we're going to mark that as not lazily load, but asynchronously load this. Like, don't hold up the viewable page to load all of the CSS. What that means is if you have 40K in CSS, Bryson, how many K CSS you
Like 90.
Okay, so if you have 90K, but I only need 2 to show the above the fold landing pieces, what that means is you're going to reduce your CSS burden for that initial page load by 40 times, 45 times actually, right? So that's kind of what we're talking about with this new feature, and that's just going to be part of Scully starting in a few days. So, like, you got to be pretty pumped about that, right?
How will that work on different device profiles?
I was thinking that too.
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So you're going to want to pick your biggest device. You're not going to want to pre-render for like a mobile device that's like 600 pixels tall, and then it only delivers the CSS needed for, you know, the one component that fits on a mobile device. You're going to want to pick your big device, right? Your desktop, and you're going to want to say, hey, give me the CSS for the above the fold on this screen size, okay? And then it will just take, hey, that screen size, it will ship everything that it's needed for that, which will include all the stuff for mobile renderings on that same size. So, so yeah, it's still dramatically improving the user experience for mobile, even though if you had some sort of like super ultra sleek CDN that was like, oh, this user's on mobile, I'm gonna deliver this pre-rendered version of Scully, right? Which I pre-rendered with a really small viewport versus this pre-rendered. Like, you had some really fancy CDN that could let you split traffic based on the user device type, then you can get really, really cool performance enhancements. But to be honest, Steven, I haven't heard of a CDN that does that. But if you have one, like, let's do an experiment. Because when you sell Scully pre-render, you're like, hey, it will pick a default viewport size, but you can say, hey, pre-render for this viewport size, and then you can say now pre-render for a different viewport size. You can ship both of those in the CDN, and if your CDN is smart enough to like toggle, then you're basically there, right?
Is this a thing that's inline in the CSS? Will it also inline the images that are above the fold in base 64?
No, We could, that would be another feature, but it's not currently. In fact, I'll just say this. Who asked that, by the way?
Steven.
Steven. Okay, sorry, I didn't see it. Sorry, you had your hand over your mouth. I couldn't tell you stuff. Okay, so Steven, let's pretend you're really smart for a second, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
So it's just imaginary. Don't get excited, bro. But let's say you're like, hey, Frost, teach me how to write a plugin. They're crazy simple. And you wrote a plugin, a pose renderer plugin, that went through every pre-rendered indexed HTML and said, hey, find these images that has a URL, and then go get that URL and basically code it and inline it into HTML. You could totally do that. Like that would be a thing that you could do with your eyes closed as a smart person. And so, so yeah, like Scully's trying to give you the control of all the different life cycles that you need, right? Like, hey, like a couple of the extra life cycles that you might need is Scully can discover all your routes in Angular, but it has no concept of routes in AngularJS. So we allowed you to provide extra routes through a different type of life cycle, right? And you know, if you have like, you know, product / and then there's like a product ID, you need to be able to feed in there a list of product IDs so that Scully can generate all those unique URLs. So there's a plugin system for that, okay, to generate all your different product IDs so that Scully can crawl all your different product pages. We've got lifecycle hooks pretty much everywhere, and anytime we see a new one, we're not shy away from going, hey, that either fits in an existing lifecycle or that's a new lifecycle we hadn't heard before. I think right now we're up to like 5 or even 6 lifecycle hooks. The most common ones are the router plugins, where you help it find more routes, and then the post render plugins, where you do things like a post render. If anyone's ever built a Webpack plugin, then you're gonna understand post render plugins like really well. Imagine if you had a plugin where before I save all the pre-rendered HTML to file, before I do that, I give it to you and you can transform it some way, right? That's what a post render is. It just, I give you the HTML before I save it to file. You can modify it, inline all the images, replace all the CSS with just the above and fold. Like you can do any sort of transform you want on the HTML, and then hand it back to Scully, and it will then get saved to file, right? And these post renders, you got 10 of them that like chain up, just like Webpack, where your plugins chain and chain and chain and chain. Mm-hmm. You can have your Webpack or your Scully plugins chain as well. So Webpack's confusing, it chains right to left. We chain like properly, like left to right. But yeah, it's very, very simple. So. Good questions. Any other questions? I don't know if I'm missing any from the chat.
So I'm over here spinning my wheels, and I created a new route in the blog since you didn't have an actual like index in the blog directory.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to create the Scully content for that route for the index for blog. And I copied the content straight out of the blog component and HTML and pasted that into my index, but it's still not creating the Scully index.html.
Yeah, it's not going to, because there's a couple different reasons. Let me show up my code real quick. There's the code. One reason is hold on, come over here. When you go to the blog route, there's no component for this route. So Scully, like if you added a component here, right? If you added a component here, then on that route, Scully would be able to render something. But there's not actually anything to render on that route.
So I added a new route, and I just made it empty so that it would be the index to the blog that's actually, I think, missing. And I created a component for it, called it index component. And then I copied everything that's in the blog component into my index component so that I would make it I could duplicate it as much as possible from your example. And it's not creating the static file for me.
Yeah, so it's not creating the static file?
I've got everything running, and I get this, sorry, could not load static page content.
Yeah, you are going to get that because here's the thing. The static page, it's looking for this slug in your URL. It's looking for this slug. So here there's no slug. And let me show you where that's configured, Tom, because I don't want to confuse you by just hand waving it. So let me show you where that's configured. I'll just tell you the answer. Without a serious amount of dedication, this isn't going to work very well for you. You're not going to be able to have variable markdown files on this path. You're only going to be able to have variable markdown files on this path.
Okay.
So let me kind of walk you through it. And I'm not trying to be rude, but I do want to explain it. So if you come to your Scully config, here's where we configure all of our plugins. Every plugin for Scully needs to be in this file. All right.
Okay.
And I've configured a plugin for the blog/slug route and said, hey, when you get to this route, anything with a slug in it, to find those list of slugs, I want you to go ahead and use the content folder plugin and like look through this blog folder to get all the different file names. Okay, so that's all that's doing. I didn't configure it for the /blog, though I think you can. I don't know how to do it off the top of my head. If you are expecting me to help with that, you are going to lose the hackathon tonight because I don't know how to do it off the top of my head. So
no, I'm just going to copy somebody's blog template and paste it in there. And even if it didn't work, I think I'd still have a fighting chance.
You're awesome.
Very cool.
So this makes more sense to me. I came in about 20 minutes after 6, so maybe I missed some content. But looking at the Scully config, it's the first 3, everything down to outdoor makes plenty of sense. Then when I hit to routes, do I need to define all the routes for Scully here?
Define all the routes for Scully.
If I want Scully to generate an index page for, say, 400,000 URLs, well, this is a real thing for me, then do I need to, I could define a single route here that takes a slug. Or could it automatically find all those routes for me?
If the routes are in your app like this, let me show you. If they have route parameters, you have to help Scully resolve the route parameters. But if they're just static URLs, then no, Scully will find them for you. So let me show you. So like if you have a route that's like this, sorry, comma. So if I have path foo, that does not have a route parameter. Okay, so Scully will find that already. Scully's going to find blog/foo, and whatever I put in here, right, whatever component I put in there, it's going to go ahead and render it and make a index.html for blog/foo. All right.
Okay.
If I did blog/foo/bar, all right, Scully's going to see that :bar, and when I do a Scully build, it's going to say a Frosty. And actually, let me show it to you real quick. Let's just do this real quick. I want to show you what Scully will do. Okay, hold on. It went very fast. I'm gonna kill my build and start over. Okay. Where is it? Did it do anything? Didn't see it. Maybe they got rid of the warning. Hold on 1 second. Let me try it. I need to try it with a different flag. Hold on. I don't think it's finding that new route I just did. Yeah, now we'll find. Okay, so this is what you're gonna see. Scully's gonna tell you. It's gonna say, "Hey Tom, I don't know how to resolve bar, so I'm gonna skip this route in your config." Okay, that's what this means. So it's saying, hey, if you have 400,000 different options for bar, until you teach Scully how to get those, it's gonna just skip that route. But if you want to come in here and teach Scully how to do it, what you would do is you come into your Scully config, you'd add a new parameter, you'd say /blog /who/bar, and then we would put some route config here, okay? And this is where we configure some sort of plugin that would go find all 400,000 IDs, right, that you're talking about.
Right.
And then it would turn those into this right here, this route, we call this an unhandled route, okay? And your goal when writing Scully plugins is to turn this into an array of handled routes. And a handled route is when you substitute for all the route parameters, okay?
Okay. So can I hit an API from this from the config here?
Yes, all plugins are promise-based, so they're not even, they're very, very simple to use. If you could do a fetch to an API, or whatever your favorite HTTP is for Node, because this is just Node code, this is an Angular code, it's just going to be Node. You could do a fetch to an API to get all 400,000 unique IDs, and then you return an array of 400,000 handled routes. Then Scully will say to you, Tom, I get you. The next time you run, it won't say this, and your build's going to take bloody forever. It's going to be a long build to do 400,000. I'm not going to lie. It's going to be not insignificant.
Right, right. But my site's been online for 20 years, and it's still hard to index on Google.
Yeah. So if that's the thing, I mean, if you're like, hey, I don't mind running my build for 20 minutes, then cool, you're good to go.
Oh yeah, if 20 minutes is all I need, I got that covered.
Okay, well then you're good. So because that's what we're talking about.
So I think you covered what I expected, and it's kind of up to me now to like make that actually work.
Yeah, it is. But these are the plugin systems we're trying to build for people. Hey, help Scully find all your routes, and then the post renderer system, which let me show you this in your Scully project. When we generate it, we actually add some plugins, so you have an example of what a plugin looks like. Okay. So if you want to do a post render plugin, you just change this to post render. Right, like it's very simple. And then there's documentation for all this here. In fact, maybe rather than like trying to fake up an example, let me take you to the documentation because that might be better. So if
The
you
new
just
spiffy documentation you guys have been working on.
It's kind of new spiffy. We have been working on it. So we go to docs and we go to reference and we go to plugins. And if this works, that's amazing. Plugin types, holy crap. It just makes sense. It's working. It never made sense before. So, okay. And I want to make where's my render plugin? Yeah, that's what I want. It's called render. It's not called post render. This is going to teach you about post render plugins. Okay. It's going to talk to you, hey, what are they? It's just a function that returns a promise with a string in it. That string is an HTML string. Okay. You're gonna get a function that will get HTML and the route that it's trying to render, and you just have to return some modified piece of HTML, right? However you want to mod it. You want to minify it? Cool, minify. You want to inline your images? You do that. You want to You want to do some wicked cool stuff so that when your users see that giant flash when it switches from Angular, when it switches from pre-rendered to Angular, and there's a giant flash, you want to hide that. You write a little bit more advanced one, and you hide that. Like, there's all sorts of stuff you can do with these post-render plugins. So, but the documentation is all here to help you see them. And if you need some examples of additional plugins, we've got some community plugins that people have written to help you out. So we've got an HTTP 404 plugin. There's a disable Angular plugin to teach you how you can, if like, let's say you fully rendered your site and you don't need JavaScript to make it work anymore. Like, you do not need Angular. It's just a bunch of hrefs and information. Well, then you can use the disable Angular plugin. And then your site's wicked fast because it doesn't have to download the JavaScript, right? Minify HTML, RSS plugin, in case you want to turn your site into an RSS feed, there's an RSS plugin that will create an XML RSS feed off of your website, right? Maybe you're doing a podcast or whatever of sorts. So you can do that. You can build a sitemap, table of contents plugin. So there's a lot going on in the community right now to help with these kind of questions. And if you need inspiration on what to build, you can go check those out.
Is there one on deploying, like going to prod with Scully?
I mean, there's not one because everyone's deploy is so different. It would be hard to, like, unless everyone's going to deploy to like Firebase hosting, it would be like so difficult. It would be so difficult to teach it. Like, so all we say is, hey, currently we do a build, ng build, right? And ng build gives you like a handful of output files, right? You're going to take that ng build and then you're going to do a Scully build. And Scully's going to give you way more outputted files, but it's still kind of going to be the same format as it was before. Instead of deploying the result of ng build to wherever you do that today, I don't know, I don't care where you do it today. Instead of doing that, you're just going to deploy the result of this Scully build, right? And that's really all you're going to do. There may be some.
I guess you could. I was just going to say, I guess you could like do an all done plugin, right? Write your own all done plugin that triggers your continuous integration, continuous delivery or something.
Yeah. So one of the features that we're trying to get some time to build, that Tom will fall in love with, is we're trying to find a way to only rebuild the sites that were affected by the most recent change. So that way, if you have a site with 400,000 routes, but only 10 of them were affected by whatever just happened, you could just pre-render 10 instead of 400,000. Right? So your build would be a second instead of, a half an hour. So.
Well, my strategy for that is to only build Scully as a deployment tool. Does that make sense?
So yes, it does make sense. And it's something that, I don't know if we're saying the same thing. So let me describe how I had to get over this hurdle. Up until today, if you just wrote Angular, you will only ever do a build if your code changes, true? Like you don't just frivolously do builds for fun if there wasn't a code change. There's no point, right? And so, but with Scully, the pre-render can change even if the code hasn't, right? Imagine your pre-render got data from your database and then showed it in the pre-render, and then we save that to file. Even if your code hasn't changed, if the data in your database changed, you may need to do another pre-render, true? And so now you're building, in a world where you're doing static site generation, SSG, you're doing a lot more builds than you were before, because you're like rebuilding. If the marketing team changes marketing content or the developers change code, you have to build on either of those.
Right. In my case, I don't even have the hope of indexing everything on Google because it's truly like 21 million records. So what I want to do is index part of that. And then even if it changes locally, or even if it changes in the database, that's okay with me. I still want to have at least something up there that will then update after when Angular kicks in.
Okay.
How do you do for deletion? You've created an artifact for a blog that, for whatever reason, got disabled.
Deleted.
Now you have an HTML that is being rendered that is no longer valid or should not even be shown.
Well, if you have a traditional continuous integration environment, it's going to delete the results of your last build.
Yeah.
So that would just get cleaned up as like just inherently with your CI/CD system, right? If you're doing it all locally, then yeah, you're totally right.
That goes back to Tom's comment on turning this into a build system. Like during the build, you just figure out what database you have and what things have changed, whether you prune it or you render or modify it, and then push it to your CDN, right? But the problem with that is, like, if your website is really successful and you have a blog post like medium.com, every second, you can't just have the CI constantly build and push. It's going to be non-stop pushing, right?
Yeah, it would be constant. I mean, it still might make sense though. Let's be honest. If the performance is that massive, if you have that many users, that would be a beautiful problem to solve, you know. And Scully would be a perfect partner tool to do that with.
Minimally, the way that I'm thinking about it, minimally, for SEO reason, probably somewhere in Express, I say, what is my user agent? Is this Google, Twitter, Facebook and stuff? Go and pick up Scully and whatever that is there. If not, at least I could fall back on live Angular, right? I've lost your voice.
I muted. Yeah, I muted.
Oh,
sorry. Yeah. Yes, you're right. I was agreeing with you.
Because
I want to go to.
Sorry, there is a delay. One user use case that I've got for this is the metadata for Twitter and Facebook, so people could share their website.
Yeah.
So you could pre-render those because Twitter is not going to be as complex as Google to understand your JavaScript and load it. They just need HTML, and if you don't have it, they just give up and move on.
Yeah. Thomas Nilsson. Thomas asked, why would you make an Angular app and disable JS? Why not make a static site? It's a good question. Well, I mean, what technology you want to build your static site with? If you're like a PHP developer and you're like being forced to use Angular, that's actually a really good question. Why would you? But if you're an Angular first developer, a lot of developers are like, no, I build with Angular on purpose. It's quicker, whatever, you know, type safety, however you want to describe it. If you have a website that doesn't have much functionality, like a blog doesn't, just as a bunch of links, right? It's essentially a wiki, for lack of a better term. It just link over to my GitHub, link over here. As you quote someone, it links out to their quote. Like, there's not a lot going on a blog, you know? You don't have like modals and fancy interactions, unless you do, and unless you're like, oh, I'm gonna have the coolest blog on earth. Well, that's a different use case, but most blogs are just static content pre-rendered with links to other places. And in that case, you don't really need Angular anymore. So why not use Angular to build your static site? Like, it doesn't really matter, to be honest. It's all being rendered on the server at build time anyway. So if you want to use PHP, I wouldn't judge anyone who's like, I want to use WordPress. Like, cool. Yeah, I don't know WordPress, but if you do, you know, build your static site with that. But if you have static content that may change once in a while, then just use Angular. And if for performance reasons, go ahead and remove AngularJS if you don't need it anymore.
Yeah, I think a good use case would be a blog or a business-facing website that's just like here to tell you about the business, and you like building in Angular, and you like to use the framework and what it comes with, and you like the routing. I think that's a big deal. You like the routing. So
Yeah.
why not make use of it and be able to actually turn it into enable JS again if you need to, you know? There's a few different reasons why it could be good. I actually plan to do it with one of the apps that I built, and just to see if it will be a good use case. But yeah, it's just a simple site with pictures and links to other pages, and that's pretty much it.
Do we
Yeah,
know
you
if
have-
Scully is
Sorry.
in production anywhere?
I mean, it's at 100 Contacts, and they are killing it right now. I mean,
see.
I won't speak for 100 Contacts. 100 Contacts, they're driving on the rails though, bro. They were in production on like alpha, so they were like the coolest partners you could hope for as a developer. As a developer trying to build something cool, to have a company like them take a shot on what you're doing, it's just like, it's just really, really ideal. And so they went in production on some of our first alpha versions, and it just worked day one, you know. And we found some things, hey, let's tweak this, but really, 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 really good optimizations over time. So
Yeah.
but there's other companies like we've got some people hitting us up from Microsoft internal. We've got some people coming and presenting from Capital One internal. So like there's a lot of big companies that are using these internally for like intranet sites and for other type of education sites. So as far as the like public Fortune 100, I don't know, but as far as big companies that are e-com that are having really positive results, yeah, that's definitely happening. So
very cool.
Also, you just reached version 1 today, right?
Yeah, I should have announced that earlier. Today we went 1.0, so we've been beta for the last several months, and today we went 1.0. So big round of applause for the Scully core team. The last big feature was the docs, because we knew you could have the greatest render on the world, but if you don't have docs for people to learn it, you might as well not have it, right? So we focused a lot on docs, and once that hit to where it's at to now, where you can actually find something, then we said, hey, let's go ahead and let's get out of here. Let's cut 1.0.
Frosty, your peers pulled me into a meeting when I came and asked about documentation and whatnot. And you aren't using RST. You're using like markdown files. And I didn't want to volunteer because I've got enough on my plate that doing your documentation would have been a lot.
Yeah.
But I would still like to see you guys like kick it up another level and like and use RST restructured text instead of the markdown that you're using now.
I mean, so many people, I haven't had anyone ask me for RST support, and I've had a million people ask for MD support. So that was why we started there. But we have other file types. And so let's kind of walk through that real quick. It's a really good question. Plugin types. So there's these file handler types, right? This file handler plugin. And out of the gate, I think we support, like if you wanted to make a CVS or CSV, I think this is supposed to be, you could make a CSV plugin that would handle CSV data, right? And process that into HTML of sorts. Or if you wanted to make it, so we have an ASCII plugin that takes ASCII files. Cool, that link is dead. Awesome. So yeah, I'm just gonna say, yeah, these core plugins that we have, like the ASCII doc plugin.
Yeah, I was actually talking about your project documentation.
Ours.
Yes.
So we use Markdown because it's one of the provided file transforms. If someone wrote the same way that we have this ADoc or we have the Markdown, if someone wrote an RST plugin, then everyone could write their documentation in RST and just use the RST transform. Like, you basically just get it for free. So I haven't done it. I've never used RST. No one's ever asked me to. Not that it's not a good thing. I just never used it. So
yeah, I've just done a lot of big documentation projects, and that's like Microsoft Word is to your lawyer.
RST. Okay. Maybe we need to build it. Maybe we need to build it.
This sort of reminds me of the conversation of like when my brother came to me and said, "Why are you using Notepad to code HTML?" And they had sort of an intervention. Those were the days.
All right. I'm gonna say about 7:50, so about 20 more minutes. I say we call it. Have people who have done something, anything. Let's have them start doing a screen share, and the wonderful Brooke can, because you can't not like Brooke. If you've ever met her, you'll know what I'm talking about. She can be our judge.
I have my days.
I've never seen one.
I haven't either.
Oh, God. That's good. They do exist.
Everybody's allowed to have days.
So,
Mine are more
I
like
mean,
months.
for those who didn't know, I'll talk until the sun. I'll talk nonstop, basically. So,
I have questions for you.
If you got questions, let's keep going. Yo, I'll keep talking.
Well, is Scully docs made with Scully?
Scully Docs is made with Scully, and it uses the Disable Angular plugin. Yes.
Dude, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
As far as contribution goes, not enough bandwidth to help with documentation, but I'm a very good documentation reviewer in case you guys want to pull me in.
Okay. That's actually good to know. I'll tell the team.
Then he can find those dead links for you.
Seriously. Let me tell the Scully team real quick. Scully Slack.
I am going to potentially write an article about Scully with Firebase hosting. And I really look forward to doing that. But gosh, I just can't get past these random node errors that I keep getting every time I run Scully.
So, I don't use Windows, so I don't understand what Jorge's talking about.
Yeah.
There's one type of terminal that you can use on Windows that it's not great with. And then there's another type of terminal that it is fine with.
That's super helpful, actually.
I don't know what that means, though. He called it WSL or something like that. I don't understand.
Okay. Well, that means that you're running Linux on your Windows machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's saying don't use the WSL stuff. Like that's hard. That's what he's saying. Yo, I don't know. I'm not in your world, right? Like I'm speaking ignorantly to a topic that you're dealing with right now. So yeah.
Well, what I can tell you from running it is that the watch command doesn't really work for me because it hits that error and it stops. But it actually does build the routes with Scully, so I can just serve Scully just fine. It's just the build process that has an error, but it's not that big a deal because it still works. So
Eric, I recommend that you just use git bash. If you have git bash installed on Windows, and just use that, it just is going to give you as close as environment as you can get as the Mac guys.
All right, I'll just use that. I just love PowerShell so much. Everybody looks at me like I'm crazy, but it's just so nice.
It's nice.
Once you go Mac, you never go back.
I have a Mac for work, and
I wish I disagreed with Val, but unfortunately, I agree.
Yeah, it's okay. I can be the only person in this entire call who likes Windows.
No, dude. So here's I'm gonna ask everyone here. I'm gonna ask as a friend. I'm not asking you this as a community member. As a friend, I need you to do me a favor. When it doesn't work on your machine, but you saw it work on mine, just tweet, "It works on Jorge's machine." I need a hashtag, "It works on Jorge's machine." Hey, doing a Scully demo, hashtag, "It works on Jorge's machine." Because, yo, dude, as one of the core team members, when I'm like, yo, I was doing a presentation and the shit went wrong and I was mad about it. And they look at me and go, "It works on my machine." I mean, he's in Argentina, so I can't punch him in the neck, and I probably wouldn't punch him in the neck if he was here. But it makes me so. You can only get told that so many times before you're like, dude, I'm gonna tell everyone to tweet you, hashtag "It works on Jorge's machine." So yeah, Eric, this is definitely tweet worthy, bro.
I'm I'm gonna just copy and paste like the error message and do it just like tonight.
Yeah.
Jorge's gonna love me.
He will. Do it. Yeah. Okay.
So here's a question. I don't know if you're still answering questions, but I'm trying to figure out as far as like the base route, you know, the default route, if I want something just to list all my blog entries by going to just blog with no identifier after it. I think earlier you said, you know, without going into a long detailed explanation, that was kind of complicated with the way we have the markdown set up.
To have it render markdown on that route would be difficult, but to just have something there. Here, I'll share my screen again.
Should work, right? I mean,
Yeah. Let me share my screen. Easy. It's actually easy to do what you're trying to say. So here's what I would do. I would come to here, blog component. So I would look. So I would take. So I have the router as like as a thing here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna say slug is equal to this dot router dot route. Is it params? How do you get the params out of the route?
Don't you have to subscribe to it to get the route?
No, it's
It's
still
the
an
activated
observer.
route. You want activated route.
Yeah, you want the activated route, not the router.
All right, okay. Do I have activated? Okay, cool.
Yeah, route. So this route.
There you go.
Okay. So if I want to take, I just want the slug, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll say params.slug. True.
Yeah.
So now I have the params, and I'll say has slug is equal to this dot slug dot pipe map slug not slug, right?
Okay.
So now I have this has slug. So I'd come out into here and I would say I would do ng container. That dog. Right? I would say ng if has slug pipe async. Right? So now it will only render this stuff down here if there was a slug. True?
Mm-hmm.
Are you mad? Oh yeah, sorry. So now we'll only render that on if there is a slug, it'll only render that part. True.
Okay.
And so now to my route config, if I say if I add empty route renders block component and then slug also renders block component, then I should be good, right? Okay. So if they both render block component, then the one that's just the top should only render this part, but then the one that's actually has a slug should render the whole thing. Like that's a really simple way you could do that, right?
So you handle it at the component level rather than at the routing to a different component.
I mean, you could do a different component there if you want. Dude, I don't care, right?
No, I'm
you
just
could
trying to think because I thought you had said in the prior example you couldn't actually give it to another component is what you had mentioned to somebody else. Maybe I misunderstood the example.
Yeah, I can't remember what I said, so I don't want to try and clarify something I can't remember. So
but
I'll just say
work as far as like assigning like in the blog routing.module, I should be able to assign it to a different component. Or
totally, yeah. Yeah, you could do like blog home component or blogs list component or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, and you can make a real fancy details view, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then this view could show just the detail view instead of the master view. So yeah, you could totally do that. Totally.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll have to figure out why it's not working for me because that's what
What is that? That's so cool. How you do? I love this. Good job, Sim.
Okay. Thank you.
Anoop, you're just here. You're just lurking. You're not saying anything. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Actually, I have a question. Like, in the, for Scully, the minimum requirement is like Angular 9 and 10.
Mm-hmm.
Is it because of Ivy?
So, it's because in 9, with 9, we had to build one part of it differently. So we have a version that's quite a ways back that will run on 8. So if you have a version that's in 8, and I think it would probably work in 7 as well, to be honest. So we have an old version that doesn't have all the latest features that you could still use with Angular 8. Or if you were were really nice to the core team, you could maybe get them to redeploy that for the current version for 8. But you'd probably have to say something nice to Sander and Jorge, right, in order to get them to do it. Because whenever I ask them to do it, they treat me like I'm a bad person.
You got to be nicer to them, Frosty.
No, I mean it's literally like I'm the boss, but it feels like I'm the ex-wife sometimes. So it's kind of
Here goes Frosty again, nagging us about Angular 8.
Yes. It's all in good banter, but yeah, sometimes they just I walk in the room, I'm like, hey, what about version 8? And they just roll their eyes, right? So it's a lot of fun. Anyway.
Here's a question for you. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Val.
Okay. I was talking.
Val, I want to make sure I got Anoop's question answered.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Go ahead. Okay. As I mentioned, for Twitter and for Facebook, they need their stuff in their header as metadata. And we know that Angular, you have the index file and the Angular tag is in the body, and all the JS artifacts are at the bottom. So in Scully world, how would you think that, I know Angular is not great in reaching out to the header and modifying it, even though you could. So for Scully, what's the path? We're falling back to jQuery stuff.
Let's do this real quick. Dude, I'll blow your mind. I could do this 18 ways, but let's do 2. Okay?
Yeah.
I just want to stretch and bend and grow together a little bit, if that's cool. So let's write it. Let's write a plugin that will do this. Okay? So this is a render plugin.
Yeah.
It takes an HTML string, right? Now, if I said to you, Val, could you find the end of the head in a string of HTML? Could you find that?
Yeah, it would be angle/head angle.
Okay. So if I said const splitter is equal to head, right?
Yeah.
And if I said const beginning ending is equal to HTML.split splitter, right?
Yep.
Then now I've got the 2 pieces, right? And I can just put on some Facebook stuff right here at the end, right?
And stitch it together, yeah.
Yeah, so then imagine I'm like, my Facebook graph stuff is equal to beginning, and then we go down a few lines and we say no, wrong thing, ending, right?
Yeah.
And then I want to do some FB
meta
stuff.
equal to something Twitter, and then there's an ID to an image. How do you get the ID number for an image?
With a query to the backend? I don't know.
So right now on line 10, I do have access to fetch or something that I could hit the backend, right?
Yeah. So if you did npm install node fetch, because fetch only exists in the browser. You want to use fetch in here, you got to install npm node fetch.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
so we bring in node fetch, and I could just say, I could say something like this: return fetch, whatever dot JSON dot then response.json, right?
Yeah.
Then, and I got some value from the API, right?
Sure. ID
And
of the
then,
user, value of the image or something, and then you just build it.
All my shit here, right? Everything that I need to do in there. And then I would just say, return my Facebook graph stuff, right?
Perfect, yeah.
So it's very, very simple to do this stuff. Like it's string manipulation. This is the kind of stuff that we ask juniors in interviews, right? Like it's very, very simple stuff what we're trying to do here, right? And so yeah, I mean, like it seems you thought it was going to be way more advanced than I told you. Like that's why you asked, because you're like, man, it must be tough. Stupid. Okay, let me show you another way. Just because like Val, maybe you like jQuery. I don't know.
No. I just
don't care.
To see, at what stage we're gonna manipulate the meta.
Maybe someone in here does like jQuery. So I'm gonna do this a different way, okay? Let's comment this all out real quick. Let's do this the jQuery way in Node, okay?
Yeah.
So we're gonna do this. We're gonna say const dom is equal to, and let's say if we install JS DOM, there's a library called JS DOM, which you can give it a string of HTML, and it will give you back a jQuery-like object that you can then do jQuery-like stuff, even though you're in Node.
Yep.
So I can say JS DOM, and I pass it HTML. Well, now this DOM is like this weird jQuery thing. So I can say, I can make new elements, and I can say DOM dot, like I can query it with like some selector, right? Like I can find the head, and I can say dot append, and I can append stuff to it the same way I would do in jQuery, right? And
they're very cool.
Yeah, like there's multiple ways you can do this. Like this string manipulation has been solved in every single language.
The only concern that I've got is 20,000 fetch requests to the server that is live on each build.
So that's a good question. If you could get it all in one request, what you could do is like you could say, hey, you could say let graph request equal, just say it's undefined, right?
Yeah.
And you could say, let graph request is equal to graph request, or if it's undefined, to a fetch to Facebook, right?
Yeah.
And so that way you've stored it, and then you're only making one call for your whole build.
Sure.
And it's cached across all the things, right?
Yeah.
And then you can go ahead and do it. It's like caching is easy, man. Like that's even a simple, probably that's just 2 or 3 more lines of code to get that down, right? But that's a simple mistake to make as a developer. And we just solved it with a few extra lines of code. So yes, totally.
So we just make one call, get all the available IDs or valid IDs, and then loop through everything.
Cache it.
Yeah, cache it, and then all right, I got it.
And then the rest of this is return the graph request dot then, right? And then we do all the stuff in the dot then from that. Because if it's already come back from the server, the dot then is going to immediately fire, and it's just going to go fast. So yeah.
This is huge.
Good question. No, it's massive. Like you've never been able to do SEO or quick linking that has detailed data and previews with Angular ever. Well, that's not true. You could have done it with Angular Universal, but all right, I'm gonna pull the shade back a little bit, and then we're gonna go to judgment mode. If anyone here has ever done Angular Universal, raise your hand. Yeah, okay. Steven's done it. Okay. Angular Universal. I want you to imagine We've all done Angular though. Raise your hand if you've done Angular. Just imagine, I want to make sure we're talking. You're even listening. Okay, cool. You're listening. Okay. So imagine like if your Angular build, like you showed up tomorrow and the Angular app that you love and you've been building it for a year, it just broke. You're like, God damn it. Like, why does this break? It shouldn't have broken. I didn't do anything, right? That's what every single day in the life of an Angular Universal developer is like, okay? Every day, some third-party lib that you depend on added a query to the DOM or talked to the document.location, or it did something to break your build. And you don't want it to. You didn't know it was going to happen, but because it was a minor revision, you just got that update. Next time you do an npm install, your build machine starts failing. You have no idea why. It's like you're really fighting to keep, like, you're fighting to keep the Angular Universal build alive, right? Or you're like, hey, we don't use third-party libs. We build everything here. So you're wasting tons of money by not depending on third-party libs, okay? If you need that real-time, just-in-time server-side render, you gotta do what you gotta do, right? That's the neighborhood you live in. But if you're doing ecom, you should not do that. You should use Scully, because Scully is rendering a Puppeteer. It's not rendering a node. That's why it renders slower than Angular Universal, but that's also why it's so ridiculously fault tolerant. You're never going to fail just because some third-party lib did an irresponsible query to the DOM or to some browser API that doesn't exist in Node. You're not going to get penalized for that stuff. So, like, it's slower, but it's significantly easier to teach and to maintain. So, like, if you can weigh that out in your head, then you're good. But I do need you to know, we are adding a universal pre-renderer. So Scully will use universal if you tell it to. So that's coming in the future.
Wow, that's crazy.
And that's not even in the far future, because I don't know if you guys know this, but my company, Hero Devs, we hired the guy who created Angular Universal. He's on our team. Patrick Stapleton's on our team. So, like, we're going to have a Scully API that pre-renders with Universal if you want it to. And we're even going to have an alternate renderer that will try to render with Universal, and if it ever fails, it says the rest of the routes are going to the Puppeteer render, right? So we're going to even try and make it like simple where anyone can use it. But that's coming. That's not the next feature, but it's one of the next features. So,
Frosty, you're my hero for doing that, for even trying to do that.
We just want people to stop. I want the excuse to stop attacking Angular Universal. I also want people to stop saying, how is this different? It's like, well, it's not different. Universal's faster, but it's not for most of the use cases we need, right? It's not there for what most of us need it to do.
I like to note to people that Google also sponsors it, right? It's on your official sponsors list. And
yeah,
so
Google.
It's not like Google's like, oh, Frosty's doing his own thing and it's competing with us. It's not at all that.
Now the React version of us is called Gatsby. You guys have heard of Gatsby?
Yep.
I think they just raised like 20 more million in like a Series C. So this is serious stuff what we're doing here. Every company who understands SEO and performance, Angular's never had this option, which is why we're all kind of sitting here going, huh. But the React community, man, they're neck deep in this stuff. They understand this stuff. They're not where we're at, like 3 or 4 years behind. Scully's, I have no idea how something like Scully didn't exist sooner, but it didn't. And so Scully's now here to solve that for everybody. And so it's a big deal. If you don't believe me, you should try and ship your current e-com site using Scully and just watch some of your metrics take off. So yeah.
We got to get to winners now, Frosty.
Let's get to winners. Who wants to show it? There's a raise your hand button over in the participants section. Who wants to show? Click the raise your hand. Okay, we got Diva. Who else? Eric wants to show.
I can't
Keep
find
your
my
hand
button.
raised.
I found it in the participants channel section on the right, but that only shows up if you're not in full screen mode for some reason.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I'm not
There we
I'm
go.
not in full screen mode.
You got it? Sweet.
I nailed it.
Okay. Diva put their hand down. Why? We need you. We need you. I can't put your hand back up, but whatever. Okay.
Also, I'll
Anyone
go last
else?
since I'm a organizer.
Anyone else?
3 day or later in the afternoon works.
Someone just said something.
How do you raise your hand again?
It's over. If you go out of full screen mode, on the bottom of the Zoom, there's a participants button. If you click that, this participants panel shows up on the right.
Okay.
And there's a raise hand button on the bottom of that panel.
I can try to share my screen. Oh no!
You can also
here want it.
you can also just type in the chat, "I would like to share," and we'll make sure that since the freaking raise hand button is so hidden.
Zoom
Okay,
needs to improve that.
Come on, Zoom. All right. Okay, I think we're good. Let's go. Let's have Laura. Laura, do you want to go first, or do you, Josh? Should we let Josh? Let's go. Let's let Laura go first. Can she share her screen, Brooke? Everyone has the ability to share screen.
I believe so. I guess we're gonna find out right now, huh? She should be able to, though.
She's muted.
It's okay. I'm just laughing at myself. Okay, I think. Oh, there we go. There's a share button also. Can you see it? Isn't it amazing?
Oh.
Yeah.
I made a MySpace page.
It's a MySpace page, dude. Hold on. I gotta take a screenshot. This is amazing. Right. Scroll back up to the top for me. Awesome. I gotta get that. I gotta get that pink too. That's awesome. Done. Okay.
All right. You're welcome, everybody.
Click on your other blogs. I want to see your 2 blogs.
Oh, I didn't do the other one. There we go.
I don't care. It's still cool.
I mean, it looks amazing though, so that's what matters.
It's beyond amazing.
And it's pre-rendered.
Yep.
And yeah, and there's a gradient, you guys.
Oh, I saw that.
Good job, dude. All right, Laura is in first place.
Yes.
That's the benefit of going first, is you're in first place.
At least for a minute.
It's like during the Olympics, they make whoever goes first has to go stand on the podium, even though they're invariably going to get kicked off.
Do they really do
All right.
that?
Yeah. Anyway, all right, Laura's first. We're going to let Josh go second.
Okay, is that me?
Yes, buddy.
I'm assuming that's me. All right.
Josh, tell me where you're from, though. I don't think you introduced at the beginning.
Okay, my name is Josh. I am from Kiribati, country out in Pacific, north of Fiji on the equator. If you've never heard of it.
Really?
I love Kiribati. Do you know Jordan Nalawai?
Oh yeah.
What?
That dude is so freaking cool.
Oh yeah, he's related to my wife.
Oh wow.
So funny.
I mean,
So funny.
his wife is related to my
Yeah. I got you.
It's so
That's
funny.
sweet, man.
Okay. Mine is obviously not going to win any awards, but I just thought, oops. Are you guys seeing, what screen are you guys seeing?
I see a lot of
the
cats.
one with cats.
A lot of kitties.
Okay, with cats. Okay.
I like it.
Yeah, so I was going to go for just very plain vanilla, but all you do is click on it. It has its own page, I guess. Has a footer for it, and that's basically it. What I did was basically just just hacked the heck out of it.
Show me your markdown file. I want to see the cat in your markdown file.
Oh yeah, so the cat. Yeah. So it's almost I forgot what was the name of the. There's other technologies that use the same idea that they use.
It's called front matter. This is called front matter. That's at the top of your. It's at the top of your markdown file.
Yeah, but I was gonna say there's another framework I used before that actually used kind of the same concept where you use MD files, and it will just bring things out, and that was cool. I was testing to see if I could add a property on it, and it worked. It was really,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sounds like first place testing today. I'm just kidding. Hey, bravery sucks
You're a
to you,
cat.
bud. You have to judge that.
It does suck.
All right.
He tested out the front matter YAML API, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
All right.
That's me.
Good job, man.
Thanks.
Eric, you want to go next?
All right, I'll go next.
All right. Eric's a show off, so this probably is going to be pretty good.
Don't get your hopes up too much.
What? Shut up.
Well, I just take something already built and turns it into a Scully app. So, yeah.
What do you mean? You already had this thing made in Angular?
Yeah, I already had it made in Angular, and I was like, well, I can't win the prize, so I might as well just do something useful. So, I just built
You made
this.
this Scully tonight?
Yeah, I just made it Scully with the base commands, and check it out. Like, it's got all the endpoints or all the pages and stuff.
Nice.
And
Click on it, dog. Click on your stuff.
It could be an image, static image.
Yeah.
Bro, in your
Wow.
on Mac it's Command Shift K to pull up your command palette, or is it P? Go to your dev tools and hit Command Shift P, maybe. Control Shift P.
Oh yeah. What do you want to
disable JavaScript?
Oh.
And then refresh your page. I want to see how well it works without JavaScript turned on. So just go refresh your page on the left.
Did it work? Did it disable it?
Yeah, it's disabled.
Okay.
Just refresh. And you're good.
Okay.
Classes did not pre-render.
Oh.
Go back to home.
How dare it.
Oh, you're on the Angular route. You got to go to 1668 instead of 1864.
Ah.
On your route, yeah.
What is it? 1668?
1668, yeah.
That was a good year.
Okay, now do the command Control Shift P and disable JavaScript. Oh, it's already disabled. So this is what it looks like without JavaScript. Your YouTube video doesn't load, but click around. Click on your links and stuff. They all work.
My sub links aren't working.
That doesn't work. But you
Scully
can make
did say that it didn't work because right here.
That's pretty bad, dude. That's pretty cool.
Pretty awesome.
It's pretty cool you did that just in a little bit of time. How hard was that? Easy or?
Oh, I was just paying attention to you the whole time. That was just like 5 seconds. So honestly, that's just kudos to Scully, man, how easy it is to use.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That is really
well, anybody could spend a few nights with this blog framework that we kind of put out here, and you could really engineer your way into a pretty cool Angular-based blog that you could then ship out and host on Firebase hosting, GitHub pages, wherever else you host stuff. If you're not expecting a lot of users, you could host it on Google Docs. But yeah, so that's exciting. Does anyone else want to enter? This is your last chance. I mean,
we got Isaac.
I think we have 5 prizes, so 2 people can basically just show me the hello world that we started with and win a prize.
I thought about that.
I think Eric was a very tough act to follow, so.
Oh, I can't win a prize. I'm like one of the organizers.
You should have gone last. I know, but still.
I can share unless there's somebody else that was waiting.
Isaac has his hand up. I don't know. But yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Isaac, go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry, I was just stretching.
No, in the chat. Oh, okay. Come on, show us what you got, man.
Oh, mine?
Yeah, you.
I don't have anything. I made a horrible mistake and was on my Windows instead of my Linux drive, and Node is not friendly to me on here at all. I have yet to get it working.
Sorry, dog.
It's my own fault.
In my
Okay.
article that I write for next month, it'll be from a Windows person's perspective. So maybe that'll help out.
Yeah.
Trying to compete with Stephen King.
Jorge,
pretty dark.
Jorge writes a lot of our code, and he's on Windows, so it supposedly works on Windows. But anyway.
Well, it just did on mine, so you saw it.
Who's this?
This is me, Steven.
Come on.
Go, Steven.
I was
Just
playing
freaking
around
showing
with
off, dude.
Grid list, but same kind of thing. Was looking at pulling some of my blog entries, added some additional text, and added some metadata to the to here. Image, the excerpt, trying to play with some of that. So nothing fancy. I was hoping to go for a lot more. Not.
Well, I mean, we only gave you like an hour, and I didn't stop talking the entire time. So.
Yeah, it was kind of. I was trying to pay more attention to you than what I was actually doing, but that's the way it worked out.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's pretty cool, dude. Well done. Is that Angular material?
No, this is just a Bootstrap template.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
So just
Are you on
grabbed it and
Ubuntu?
threw in the, yeah, this is Ubuntu. So,
I bet he doesn't get node errors.
Sander.
Errors, no node errors, but Scully errors. It wasn't.
Sander develops on Ubuntu, so supposedly works on Ubuntu.
Well, I mean, I got it to work. I had to kill Scully and then restart it a bunch of times. I'm not quite sure why.
Yeah, same here.
Josh said that. Is that you, Josh?
Yeah, I had to every time I don't know. Sometimes it would render and sometimes it just freeze. So I just had to restart all of them, and I had what you said you started off with 3 terminals, right? One with the Scully command, one with the ng build watch, and the serp. So I just restart all of them.
Oh man,
I had to do the same.
Sorry guys.
I'm on a Mac.
I'm cool. We just covered the spectrum on how bad it was. That's awesome.
Oh man.
Okay, well,
that's cool.
Brooke, you are my witness to Jorge.
Okay.
All this was said, okay?
Okay.
He's gonna think I'm just picking on him, and I'm not. Anyone else? Does anyone else want to just like phone one in? Steven, I can't believe you didn't almost show us that. That was
I know,
cool.
that was great.
Anyone else? All right. I'm not gonna force you to. But all right, Brooke. You want to say some winners?
That is tough. Are we doing like 1, 2, 3? Or how are we doing that?
1, 2, 3. And if you can,
How about we
4 and 5.
do, well, we only had 4, right?
We only had 4 if you exclude Eric.
Okay, well.
You can
Eric
include
doesn't
me.
count.
I'll take a shirt.
Wait. No, we only had 4 including Eric, right?
No, because we had Laura's and then and what? Yeah, the guy in like near Fiji. What was your name? Sorry.
Josh.
Josh. Okay, so Josh. So Laura, Josh, and then Steven.
Eric.
And Eric. So that's 4.
All right. Go ahead, buddy. It's all you. It's all you, Brooke. It's all you, Brooke.
I think we should do 3 number 2s.
Everyone
or
ties
at
for
least
second place.
Or at least a 1 and a 2 and 2 number 3s. I say 3 number 2s.
I say the double entendre on that is awesome. So I say we just go with the 3-way tie for first place.
For first place?
But how are we going to handle the gift card then?
You're right. We can't do a 3-way tie.
Oh yeah, we gotta do. Oh.
let's have one first place and everybody else is second place. How about that?
See, that's what I'm saying. 3 number
Do
twos.
it.
Okay.
Do it.
Okay. Then I think we're gonna have to ban him from winning next time. But Steven, I'm gonna give you number 1.
Yes.
And then, I mean, the cats were awesome. And Laura, I mean,
MySpace.
blogging.
Dude.
Yeah, I mean, you can't.
Throwback.
Right?
Throwback.
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought everybody, especially in the time limit that you had, that was impressive. All of you.
Especially with Aaron talking so much.
Exactly.
I mean, come on, that guy. Who invited him?
I don't know.
I feel like I felt like I was adding when I was doing it, but now I feel like I detracted, so I apologize to everyone.
No, I don't think it detracted at all, because that's what you were here for, was to teach and answer questions.
So are we saying that Steven won the 100 contacts prize?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna say that's tough. I'm gonna say I gotta do Laura wins the Hero Devs prize.
Okay.
And they all win a Scully t-shirt.
Oh, good.
Right? So every single one of them will, and we'll even give Eric one of those too.
Yes.
So we'll ship you a Scully t-shirt. So I need you to get your information, your emails to Brooke, and then Brooke will take care of getting it to Amy and I.
Here's my email. I'm going to put my email in the chat. So copy this. Oh, gee, do you want my NG confirm? I think it's basically the same thing.
Same thing.
Just give it to bravery@ngconf.org. And then I'll make sure we get you everything.
Yeah. Special thanks to 100 Contacts. Carlo, he is our, I don't know, knight in shining armor. He's a fantastic partner for all Angular developers. If anyone in here in Utah is looking for a place to hang their hat, I gotta be honest, when I went and consulted for them last year, I had no idea. I honestly was like, contacts? Sounds boring, right? But then I went into the building and I met the team and I was like, dude, I had no idea you could get this intense about providing such a phenomenal experience around selling contacts. And not only that, how much they care about their employees. It blew my mind. The culture there. I had just come a few years prior from a really toxic culture. And so it was very apparent to me when I walked in the door, this was a different culture. So anyone here from Utah or anyone who's in the area who's looking for a place to consider helping out with Angular, you should go talk to the team at 100 Contacts. They are, and this is third party speaking, I'm not employed by them, so they are, it's a phenomenal place to work. So yeah.
They hiring? Is that a thing?
I mean, I got to imagine there's always going to be a need, right, for them. So just reach out to them if you're interested in starting the conversations. Anyone here knows sometimes those interviews sometimes it takes 2 or 3 times to make it happen, but it's a great place to work, to be honest. So
good stuff.
So yeah. Anyway, and Hero Devs, thanks all the support from everybody. We love building Scully. We just love Angular. We love making our living off of this framework. It's crazy that Google just made this framework and you can create conferences and businesses and open source projects that thousands of people will use just because it's around Angular. So we thank everybody for coming, for participating, for supporting us, for pointing out all of our build errors on the numerous different operating systems. But yeah, we really, really appreciate it. And if you need any help, we have a Gitter channel. My DMs on Twitter are always open. I'm at Aaron Frost. devs@herodevs.com. You can email us, but we're always here to help. So yeah, thank you.
Please come next month. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye.
Well done, Frosty.